When your net worth is over $100 million, you don't care for an exit opportunity. You're just in it for the long term anyway. Smaller investors and those who are more activists want to have a say what they invest in and when they exit. And that's how we set up B-Gate. And that's the purpose of B-Gate, giving investors access to private equity deals. It goes hand in hand with talent acquisition. How are you going to attract the right talent if you don't have a website?
As a business owner, there's a lot of emotion attached with giving up any ownership. There's the fear of losing control of what you've built. I definitely understand and appreciate why there's a bit of a block from a business owner's perspective. Good day and welcome to the Wealthy Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Gauvreau. It is a pleasure to have you with us today. I want to remind you that this is the place where we dissect the elements that contribute to entrepreneurial success, from mindset and leadership to profits and revenue. Now, I've got a partner that we're going to share and bring in today as a special guest. He works in the private equity space, but it's not traditional private equity. It's something a little bit unique, but it's something that I think all business owners need to hear about, understand, learn about, and see if this is something that might be a fit for them, because I'm considering that same situation for myself. In fact, I think I've already considered, and I think it is a good fit for me, and I'm excited to work with this organization to see what the future holds as a partnership together. And I want to bring that value to all of you as well. So in this episode, I'm joined by Ara Sahakian, a seasoned investor and finance executive with over 20 years of experience in private equity, mergers and acquisitions, and value-based leadership. Ara's impressive career spans global finance, including roles at some of the big four accounting firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Deloitte, and HSBC Private Equity, where he's led significant international deals and developed a deep understanding of capital deployment and operational transformation. He's also served on a pretty powerful, influential board here in Canada. The Terry Fox Foundation has spent a significant amount of time, efforts, and involvement with that group, allowing them to continue to have the success that they have as well. We're going to hear a little bit about that. But most importantly, what I want Ara to share today when he joins is that he founded a new modern private equity firm that's focused on long-term alignment, operational value, and investment access to private equity that we normally wouldn't be able to get access to. Lots of really great experiences already with Ara and his team, PE Gate, which is incredible. I'm really, really excited to bring Ara in today to share his perspective, to share his insights, to talk about how maybe private equity could be a really great solution for achieving financial freedom in the in the lives of business owners while they're operating, but also looking at ways to get them paid upon succession as well. So without further ado, I want to bring my good friend Ara into the show. All right, so really excited to have Ara today join me. Ara, how are you today, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about you, Bob?
Good. It looks like you're out in nature today, maybe at a cottage, something that's really relaxed, feels good. Listen, you know what? I feel very fortunate that our paths have crossed, and I'm sure we'll chat about this a little bit more as we get deeper into the podcast. But, you know, I'm really excited about what it is that you've created. We'll let you intro that, but excited for our two companies to be able to collaborate going forward, because we're both in the same space, really helping support business owners in a multitude of different areas, but really excited to have you here. Why don't you kick this off, just sharing a little bit of your background about how you got started and how you got to where you are today.
No, great. Thanks for having me. Best background for me, I think I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always enjoyed businesses. I started my first business when I was 14. I registered a business at 15, paid my way through university. And it was almost a hobby for me to think about business and how to improve things. And it was thanks to my brother. I never wanted to be CA because I didn't love accounting. But then at the time he said, why don't you get your CA and one day you could do this thing called mergers and acquisitions. Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah. So that was, so the goal was to get into mergers and acquisitions from early on and how I could add value to businesses. And that's what I did.
Okay. So clearly you went through, you got your CA, now CPA. What was your experience like doing that? Where'd you get your formalized experience to get your CA?
So I went to the arguably the geekiest school, university in Canada. I went to Waterloo, did my 5 years. I have my master's of accounting. Impressive people at bars all the time.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I love my experience there. I love my colleagues there. I'm still friends with a lot of them. It was fun in this way what people think about Waterloo. But it was a great experience because it was co-op. So I worked for Big Four early on. Got tremendous experience. It was torture, like audit. No one enjoys audit. I used to say, as long as you could tolerate it, then you're good. Because it's huge learning.
Wouldn't say everybody doesn't enjoy it. I am also in that space with you. That's not what I want to do, but some people love it. So that's not for us, but that's okay. So you did do audit experience. Okay, this is good to know.
Yeah, I had to. And funny enough, my first audit when I was with Deloitte, it was up north, Kimberly Clark pulp and paper plant. And way up north, like Terrace Bay, Ontario, -40. And things come around. One of our acquisitions, Kingston Refractory, actually that plant became a client of ours. So it was like after 30 years. So great experience because you get to meet with the CEO, CFO, and really understand business. So my whole goal is how could I learn out of this process? And for me, every time I changed careers, it was when, okay, I'm not learning anymore. I need to move on. So for me, it was tremendous learning through the audit experience, but also did some M&A as well. And then I moved to Dubai with PwC, but we started the M&A practice there, transaction services, and did almost everything. There's 3 of us, and that was tremendous experience. Like that's when private equity was starting. We serviced private equity. One of our clients was HSBC Private Equity. Did a lot of work with them and ended up joining them as a director. So that was seeing a country grow. That is probably like Toronto 50 years ago, so it's just boom.
So, okay, so I didn't know this part. So you went over with PwC and there were only 3 of you in the Dubai PwC M&A office? Is that what?
Yeah, we started it. It was a partner, director, and myself. And now it's probably in the region over 1,000 people. Yeah, we led some really interesting, transactions. We did fraud investigations, turnarounds. We did the biggest restructuring, a family office that had over $1 billion in debt with 30 banks, including HSBC. And HSBC understood the transaction, the private equity side, and ended up making a ton out of that transaction. So it was really interesting where modeling came in and understanding how financial model works and how you could benefit from that. So that was really interesting. Well, so it was a great experience and ended up joining the private equity world from that experience and learned a lot there as well.
So now, were you doing private equity while you were in Dubai, or was that when you came back?
No, while in Dubai. So I moved to HSBC Private Equity. They had 2 funds. The first fund was only $100 million and was extremely successful. And that's where that really influenced our strategy here in Toronto for PE Gate. Because the smaller deals were a bit more work. It's actually the same amount of work, large transaction versus a small transaction.
Just one or two less zeros on the end.
Exactly. But you have a lot more upside on smaller transactions, a lot less competitive, but you could truly add value if that's your business model, which it is ours for PE Gate.
So walk me through PE Gate then, right? So you have this Big Four experience, you do M&A work, you end up over in Dubai, which is a pretty cool experience to begin with, getting some international time, building an M&A practice, you exit into private equity, you get a taste for it, and then you come back and you build PE Gate. Tell me about how that journey's been so far.
It's been excellent. And part of the experience in Dubai was I had my own businesses as well. And also supported entrepreneurs in their exits. So I did go on my own. I left private equity, the fund in 2009 and set up my own practice. where I would support people exiting and preparing them for exit. So basically adding tremendous value and getting some upside out of it. And while I was doing that, a lot of friends would ask me, "All right, do you have any investment opportunities for me?" Because I'm not big enough to go into a fund, or I want to have a say. Because as you know, if you invest in a large fund like KKR, you're writing a big check. They're going to do very well. However, you don't have an exit opportunity. But when your net worth is over $100 million, you don't care for an exit opportunity. You're just in it for the long term anyway. But smaller investors and those who are more activists want to have a say what they invest in and when they exit. And that's how we set up PEgate. And that's the purpose of PEgate. Basically giving investors access to private equity deals. And those that they can't really access at the tickets they want to invest in, or those that they want to have a say what they invest in and when they exit.
So, and which I love. So let's walk a little bit deeper for my audience here, who is typically the entrepreneurs or people looking to start their business or exit their business. Can you walk me through what private equity actually is?
So private equity is really investing instead of in the public markets. We invest in private businesses. And it's just a lot less complicated than investing in a publicly traded business. You have more of a say. There's less cost of managing that portfolio. So a lot of private equity would take a public company private. So they take control and take it private. So it just means private investment, really. But it's generally reserved for big checks, institutional investors, family offices, and ultra high net worth people.
Yeah, and it's been fascinating too. And I think, if anybody from the Canadian space that's listening is paying attention to the US space, private equity is going bonkers down in the US. And it's exciting to see, right, how it's changing the market.
So, as you know, the tax regime in Canada, it favors business owners and investors in private businesses. Like by far, there's no competition. So the taxes that you would pay in a private investment are significantly lower or deferred compared to a publicly traded business. So for your investor base, I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs know this. They have the lifetime capital gains exemption, which is tremendous. And that's how a lot of people accumulate wealth, through business ownership. But you don't have to own and operate the business. You could just own shares in a private business and you still qualify for that 1.25 million per person, almost tax-free capital gain.
I love that. And I love that you said almost, because it's close. It's close. I always love that too. When we start doing some planning, maybe introducing a family trust to get access to more of it. And I usually say it's exempt income, but it's not completely tax-free. There's a few little loopholes, which we can work around, but it just takes a little bit of time. And anyway, it's exciting. And I love what you're creating, which is really the everyday investor's opportunity to invest in something that's bigger than them, right? And that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get access to. You're not really going to be walking down the street and see your neighbors running their business and say, "Hey, can I buy in?" And, write you a check for $50,000. It's way more complicated than that. But working with a group like PEgate, they do all of the hard work, put in the structure in place so that you could invest in your neighbor's business and write a check for $50,000. You just may be one of a few investors who might be working with that. So, all right, I love your model. Can you talk to me about this? Because obviously we've had these conversations, part of the reason why I like your model so much, but what are some of the areas where if you're talking with a business owner like me, that you guys would come in, what are the sort of opportunities for partnership and what would that look like? And what would the benefits for a business owner be that would want to work with private equity?
A great question. So typically what we look to is how can we add value to a business and what the value we would bring to especially smaller business. So we're not targeting very large businesses here because we think those businesses we could probably add less value to. and it's more competitive, and no one's really targeting the smaller companies that we are. So, and we're buying them at reasonable multiples, able to grow them. So what the value we would bring, we really focus on three things, Bob. So one is marketing. So a lot of these owner managed businesses don't really have a marketing budget. And I love it that they're the marketing person, they bring in the work, but then they haven't really professionalized that process. So very simple tactics and strategies, we would up the game in terms of marketing. So it's less reliant on the business owner. The other one is people. So just professionalizing the team. Yeah, typically, if they don't have a number two in place, we would look to promote or hire one. But it goes hand in hand with the marketing, because when we're just going through a business, we've acquired a business with a very basic website, and we're in the process of acquiring a business with no website. Imagine that, right? So
What a great opportunity, though, right?
exactly. So, and then it goes hand in hand with talent acquisition. How are you going to attract the right talent if you don't have a website, right? Especially the young, they want to go like you have a great website. So if I'm going to apply to work for Gauvreau, I'm going to be impressed. I'm going to say this company is going places, especially the fact that we do all this amazing podcast marketing work. Like, you want to be part of the team because you see it growing. And that's what we try to do, because talent acquisition is key. And the third is really systems and financial systems mainly, and operating systems to help it scale. On the last transaction, we're just going through an ERP implementation with NetSuite. A bit of overkill, but we're looking long term that if we really want to scale this business across Canada, we should do this now. And it's been a great implementation so far.
Yeah, and I'm gonna pump your tires with a couple different things that I see as value that you guys bring, especially we're a business of 200-ish people now, right? We've had the ability to bring in our leadership team and sort of get them in place. But for a lot of businesses who are looking to grow and scale and haven't had that ability, right, to come to work with private equity, and they can bring in those skills and resources and help bump up your team, right? Part of the people side of things. But one of the really fascinating pieces, and one of the reasons that I'm excited to work with you guys so much, is that a lot of times business owners, you're building this business, you're reinvesting in growing this thing, but it's a constant reinvestment. And, you never really have an opportunity to get a cash event where you're able to pull out some of your hard-earned equity that you've grown. And as a business owner, a lot of times that sort of transaction happens when you completely exit and you find a buyer. And let me just quickly say to everyone who's listening, the ability to actually sell your business at the end of the day is not as high percentage-wise as you think it may be, right? It could, because a lot of people feel that they're going to be able to exit their business in the future and that's their paycheck. But if you don't have a systemized, well-run organization that's based solely on you as one individual, it's likely not going to sell, definitely not going to sell for a high multiple. But one of the things are that I'm so impressed with you and your team. One, you guys actually come in as minority investors in many cases to be part of the growth, versus, hey, we've built this business and the only way that we can get cash out of it is to just sell the whole thing. You guys actually come in, bring in some power, bring in some expertise, some leadership, some people, some marketing. You give a little bit of a cash event, and you're in it with the business owner for the long haul, right? To help them grow and exit successfully down the road. And I think that's such a powerful positioning for your group that I haven't seen before. And it's really exciting for a lot of small to medium-sized business owners who are looking for that sort of experience, or sort of feeling like they're capped on the level of expertise they can bring to their operation, to partner with you guys and have a little bit of a cash transaction, but also have a strategy for long-term growth and exit. I know that wasn't much of a question for you, but I just wanted to share that.
No, I agree. It triggered a few thoughts. So one of the early investments we made at HSBC was two partners, fairly young, successful, but couldn't scale. And when we came in, we just gave them that support that, you're doing the right thing. through the board and just go for it. And yes, they cashed out a little bit, but that made them really go for it. So when you're not only cashing out, like you said, probably tax free, but also you're de-risking it. So it's not your house on the line, because the banks here are not the friendliest when it comes to personal guarantees, and we don't work with personal guarantees. So that's one thing we do, is we try to remove personal guarantees from the founder, and then just support that growth. And it does make a big difference. And I'm surprised, actually, a lot of the mindset of some business owners is very binary. Either I'm selling them 0 or 100%, which makes no sense to me, right? So, but because there's no trust factor, they don't trust the buyer. So I think we've established ourselves as very trustworthy. We're very straightforward, honest in the way we work with people. And I think that's the best when an owner doesn't exit 100%. And they invest, they exit partially and maybe exit fully with us, or just hold on for some dividends.
And so a couple things. One, as a business owner, I can tell you there's a lot of emotion attached with giving up any ownership. There's the fear of losing control of what you've built. So I can definitely understand and appreciate why there's a bit of a block from a business owner's perspective. My hope is working with you, right, is building the confidence with our 5,000 business owners, right? Gaining that experience, sharing our story and our participation in potentially working with you guys as well, to say, hey guys, look, this is how well this has worked. Now, 5,000 businesses, let's look at which ones are set up to succeed in this position, and how do we support that? And one thing I want to say, business owners who are listening to this as well, like, this has definitely been an area that I've spent a lot of time the last few years understanding the private equity space. And I think it's interesting to think that you as a business owner, you've grown, you've invested, you've got it to a place where it is right now, and you may even feel like you're in a really good spot of momentum. But just imagine that momentum with the firepower and resources of a really strong partner, especially one that's coming in at a minority stake as well, to say, hey, you know what, this is still your business, you're still going to run it, but we're here to support you along the way to really multiply this. And everybody wants that. Really, really powerful. Another thing I want to just bring up, and maybe you can elaborate on it, but I believe one of the areas that you guys had brought up in speaking with me and definitely with other businesses is one of those exit plans, again, a minority stake, and we're talking maybe 10, 20, 30, 40%, right? That's a minority stake, is actually selling it. Thinking of my business, for example, we were to sell 10%, Ara and his team come in, he's actually going to raise capital for that buy-in. And one of the really cool things that they've done in their structure is that they will go to your company, your employees, your senior managers, and they will say, hey, do you guys want to buy in to this through our private equity group? So not only, right, and I'm sure business owners, hey, what is the ideal exit plan for all of us? Well, it would be to have our employees take over, right? Like, that just has the feel good. As long as they're going to pay what other people would pay, that's the feel good sort of transition plan. Well, Ara and his team have structured their private equity group where they allow team members to buy in. So not only, are you getting this sort of cash transaction, but you're also getting maybe even further buy-in from those that are already working in the organization. Ara, do you want to maybe just touch on how that could work?
No, I love that. And that's the future. So employee ownership, I think people are realizing this, especially post-COVID, that they want a piece of a business. They want to be a part of something. Otherwise, they'll change jobs every 2 years, especially young people. So we are structured. So we're an exempt market dealer, first of all. So we're regulated by the Securities Commission in Ontario. So we have regular reporting. We have to follow various rules, but also we are registered with technology. So part of our registration is our platform, which we developed. And now we've just gone to a new version as well, which is really nice. So within that platform, yes, anyone can hold shares, outside of PE, but how do you trade them? What's the value of that share if you're stuck and the only person you could sell it to as your partner. So that's not marketable. That's not liquid. So that's why we have a platform where any investor, be it an employee or one of our investors, can actually trade their share anonymously. So they post the price, and we've had several trades, by the way. And the largest one we've had is an employee buying out a single investor, believe it or not. So we were able to attract this employee because he saw the growth, and he's, great find, great for the business. And he ended up buying out an investor, and he has a meaningful stake in the business. And and that's all through the platform. So we encourage it, not just we allow it. Like, we love it when there's employee participation. And we're going through another process. We bought a business with the support of a key employee. We closed the transaction, and 2 employees have approached us saying, we're actually also interested in buying. And like you said, the price is set, so that there's no argument or discussion. Professional people have agreed on a valuation price. There's a structure in place, so it's easy for employees to buy in.
So what you're telling me, and this is something new that I'm hearing from you today, which is very interesting. So you're telling me that if I'm a business owner and I want to work with PE Gate and I want to try and get some employee buy-in, but maybe my employees aren't ready today. So I work with PE Gate. PE Gate buys a 10, 20% stake. And at some point, if that employee is ready and there's someone who's looking to also exit from that investment, they could eventually come in and participate in that company at a later date. Is that what I heard?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime. Absolutely. So, and then not only, they don't even have to buy out an employee. We could just issue new shares, and it's usually a different class of shares for tax reasons. So they could just inject that capital into the business. It dilutes the investors, and that's value add though. Even in our offering memorandums that, we write these detailed offering memorandums for our investors, so they know exactly what they're investing in. Investing in private equity is risky. So we disclose all the risks, but we also mention that, the opportunity for employee buy-in, and we generally reserve about 10% for employee buy-in, maybe 20, depending on the size of the business.
Well, that's fascinating. And what a great opportunity. Again, business owners, we're going to chat more about this, and definitely throw your comments in below for anything that's sort of come up today or any questions you have, because certainly myself or working with Ara and his team will get you those answers. But I'm excited to be, working with Ara and PE Gate. I know we had done an event about a month ago talking about the ways that investors could be investing their corporate earnings to maximize, long-term growth and tax efficiency as well. So lots of really phenomenal things that you guys are up to. I want to talk about the fact that I know we've chatted about PE Gate a little bit and building the modern PE firm, but I know you want to focus on building this business based on alignment, education, and entrepreneurial access. What is your long-term vision for PE Gate and supporting the entrepreneurial space outside of what we've sort of already chatted about?
So long-term vision is to have a platform where it's almost like the public market, but it's still private, where entrepreneurs can access capital, their employees can buy in, investors can access secondary deals, meaning someone wants to, so I like a certain sector, I see 3 deals in that sector. So I could approach it within the platform, say, I want to support this. So building an ecosystem where investors can access deals, but also entrepreneurs can start planning their exit. And like you said, the minority exit, I think that's a great solution, because imagine you're in your 50s, you're not ready to retire, but you need a partner, but you don't mind cashing out a little bit, letting your employees buy in, and then gradually exit, and maybe never exit. Because we're not a fund at the end. So PE Gate is not a PE fund. Each deal we raise on a deal by deal basis, and there's no time frame. So we don't commit to investors that there will be an exit, or there has to be an exit. In a fund, it's typically 7 to 10 years that they target that. And that's on purpose, because a lot of our business owner partners don't necessarily want to exit. They want to grow. And as long as we're enjoying dividends, then it's a great investment.
And I would say too, guys, like, again, for those business owners that are listening right now to this, what does all of this mean for you? Well, you ever heard of the term financial freedom? Right? So you're growing this business, it's taking every ounce of financial resource that you possibly can throw at it to grow this thing. And, you believe in it. You've got a really great purpose, a vision. You're building a team, you're maximizing your impact. And then you go, you know what? What if I bring a partner on here that can actually help add fuel to the fire? And then I cash out and get financial freedom for life. Let's just say, for example, you've got a business let's say it's worth $10 million, right? Ara and his team come in and they buy 20%. That's $2 million. You put that $2 million in your bank account, likely tax-free if it's structured properly. You got to talk with our team first about that. But you get $2 million, you put that in an investment account, not outside of private equity, something that's a little bit more conservative as a long-term play, and you're getting, income for life there while you still own 80% of your company and driving your purpose and building your team and working with, some strategic partners to help take it to the next level. Now you've got financial security for life, and now you can, continue to go all in on your business and just know that life is taken care of, right? It's just, it's a really cool model, Ara, and I think it's something that I'm going to be working with a lot of our business owners to execute on because I think it's extremely powerful.
Agreed. And one thing we do focus on is manager buyouts. So, and we've done a couple of deals where we had someone looking to acquire a business, and he's a executive but just doesn't want to work for a T4 anymore and has capital. And so that's the beauty. So it really supports the owner manager who's probably enjoying the size of the business. They don't want to grow further. That's the beauty of targeting retiring business owners. They probably could do a lot better financially, but they're content. The $1 million is good enough for them while the business can really scale further. And that's where someone who's more hungry can come in, and that's what the platform's really good at, is connecting an operator with the right business, and they take the business to the next level. And the founder doesn't have to exit fully. They could, like you said, sell minority, majority. For us, it doesn't matter. It's whatever makes sense for the seller. That we don't insist on a certain percentage.
And it's interesting too, like, even if you're thinking as a business owner, hey, I'd love to diversify from my specific industry. So let's say, for example, it's something that you feel at risk with AI right now, right? But the business is still growing. There's a market, and you're just feeling like, hey, the changing technology, I'd love to maybe diversify some of my risk. You could actually work with PE Gate. They come in. Obviously, your business has to be sustainable. Otherwise, they're not going to be interested. But you have a sustainable business, but you want to diversify. So you could have a buyout of a certain portion of your business and reinvest it in other markets with PE Gate so that you've got multiple sources of income as well, which I think is pretty powerful too. So, Ara, I'm fascinated by your business model. I love it. I'm excited to walk some of our clients through that process with you. I think it's a really exciting opportunity for many. And for those that continue to struggle because they're building this massive goodwill that they can't leverage, this is a really great way to leverage and then gain a partner who can help support you on the next component of your journey. I want to talk to you about this because all of this is great, but I know that sometimes we talk about things that are outside of business and things that are really important to each of us. And you've got something that you've been involved in, which has been the Terry Fox Foundation for quite a few years. Do you want to walk us through your involvement with that group?
Yeah, well, when I moved to Dubai, there was a Terry Fox run there. So surprise, like Terry Fox's reach is global because cancer doesn't discriminate, unfortunately. So
no boundaries
whatsoever. And there's a very well-supported run in Dubai. I got involved in finance and it ended up chairing the committee. And it ended up to be one of the largest ones in the world outside of Cuba. Cuba was big because a certain person would say, everybody is
Oh,
going to
yeah.
run where
Yeah.
Terry
You have to
Fox.
do it.
Yeah, the Castro. So, and it raised uh, lots of funds towards cancer research. That's how I got to know the Terry Fox family. And I'd always being an ex-auditor, I'd give them all this, like, you got to be doing this. Where's the accountability? Where's this? So I was always giving advice, not always solicited. Um, so when the foundation made the bold move, the family, that they want to professionalize the board, they asked me and two others to join the first ever independent board. So we and that was great vision on their part. It was myself, Bill Perstansky was very close to the family as well, and Jim Gable, who was heading Adidas Canada at the time. So the three of us were the original board members. We professionalized the board. We brought in new family members onto committees. So beyond Terry's siblings. So we had Terry Fox's nephews and nieces join the membership and had a voice. And it was just a great transformation, professionalized. And we hired a new executive director, which took a long time. And then unfortunately, we lost them right before COVID. And the board just launched PE Gate, and the board turned to me and said, can you just run the foundation for just a few months until we hire a new executive director, because we know how hard that is. I said, absolutely not. I was just launched. We just made our first investment. I can't. So, and then Terry Fox guilt kicked in, because it is such a wonderful foundation. It's so grassroots, one of the highest percentages in terms of your funds go toward the actual cause. People there are amazing. There's, so many runs, 10,000 runs, school runs across Canada, 1,000 runs, community runs. It's more than just raising funds for cancer research. It gives hope and so on. So making a long story short, I agreed. I said, fine, I'll do it for 3 to 6 months tops, as long as I could make change on the digital side, because I knew there was a pen and paper foundation and the opportunity was to go digital. So created a digital transformation committee there, and it was great. So we were prepared, and then we were going through the hiring process for my replacement, and then COVID hit. But luckily, we were really prepared.
You were digital.
So we ended up, for the community runs across Canada, we ended up raising more money with one digital run than 1,000 runs across the country. We didn't lay off anyone. We decided to give the message of hope to Canadians. And we had an amazing following. So we had millions of followers, and it's just, the team just really performed. And now there's a new executive director who's doing tremendous work, has an amazing team. So really happy where that's landed.
Love that. Now, you may or may not, like, if I said that there was a school that was always a top performer as part of the foundation, would you recognize the school, or are you too far?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's always been a school in Peterborough, which is where I went and my kids are, St. Peter's Secondary School in Peterborough. And every year, in fact, when I was there, the family would always show up because we were always raising the most amount of money. Anyway, I always love that, and I know St. Peter's is still pretty serious about their commitment to Terry Fox. So it's something I've grown up with too. So it's pretty powerful.
No, thank you. Yeah, it is. It's such a worthy cause, and
it's, you know what, some of those things are just, that's what keeps us going a little bit. You get tied up in paperwork and meetings and everything, and then you realize that your involvement in an organization can just be so impactful in changing the lives of everyone that it serves. It's that would be one of those organizations that really does great work. So kudos to you on that, sir. Circling back, so thinking of the audience being small, medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs, if you had to go back, and I know you were talking about your brother, and he was sort of saying, yeah, go get your accounting designation and then go and do all these great things. Thinking back to where you started, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself then based on what you know now?
I wouldn't change much, actually. I really enjoyed the path I've taken. I wish I had more money. That's the one thing.
Always, always.
To have that base earlier, so that really helps. Money makes money, and so when you're, and that's one of the problems I think in Canada with entrepreneurship is you're married to that T4. Like you can't get a mortgage without a T4. So having that base, that support really helps, and that's when, for me, that's when partnerships come in, where if they're going to add some capital value. I wouldn't, I just enjoyed it. I really enjoy, I wish I didn't play one rugby game where I got my ACL torn, but
I could experience that. We golfed one day, and you're leaning on it a little bit by the end of the day.
yeah, so that, but no, I can't complain. Blessed, and thank God for where I am and the people I meet, and including you, Bob. I know. Can I give some kudos to your business, by the way?
Sure. Hey, no, you can't. You can't.
So the fact that you support entrepreneurship and business owners, that's what really drew us to your business. Like that mindset is amazing. So as your clients succeed, obviously so will you, but you're doing this to support growth, which is something that's lacking. So a lot of accounting firms can just, meet the deadlines. That's all they, get it right. But you go beyond that. And I get asked the question a lot, what can businesses do to improve the value at the exit? One thing is to work with a professional accounting firm. If your books are clean, if you have monthly reporting, quarterly reporting, that gives so much more confidence to any investor. And not just that, you're going to operate your business better because you have numbers to rely on and to make decisions, right? So what you're doing is phenomenal, but you're taking it further, and that's what we're looking forward to with Gauvreau is how to take companies even to the next level. And and great work. I know you did so much work to support businesses during COVID, which is phenomenal. And someone who followed your podcast actually introduced us. So which is music.
Which is great. You know what? It's interesting too that whole run during COVID, which was, that fearful time of where everybody thought they were losing everything, including me, I'm sure you as well. And that was really where I learned to have a conversation with a camera screen, with a lens. And that's really transformed who I am in my role in my business. And I'm somewhat grateful for it. Like our ability to impact people has been transformed because of that sort of event. Now, wish that never happened, but it was a means to, I think, some great opportunities. And I think those people who are open to opportunities at that point and transitioning and digitizing and everything, it definitely worked well. But thank you for that. It's, we definitely have a commitment level to our clients and to the entrepreneurial community. And I always say this, I think we're just getting started. And, again, great partnerships can help go a really long way. So, Ara, thank you so much for joining today. I know this won't be the last time we'll hear from you, but how could anybody get a hold of you or learn more about PE Gate?
So our website is pegates.com or pe-gate.com. But you could email me. It's very simple. It's Ara, ARA at pe-gate.com. Would love to hear from you. And whether you're an entrepreneur and you're not even thinking of exiting, but you should be thinking of succession, or an investor wanting to have access, we'd love to have a chat with you.
For sure. And we'll make sure we put those notes and contact information. Also, for anybody, if you would love to get in touch with Ara, feel free to reach out to me or our team. Happy to get you connected as well. Guys, this has been the Wealthy Entrepreneur Podcast. Always exciting to showcase the experience and the journey of really successful people and people who are doing cool things. And Ara and PE Gate, I'm really excited to see what the future holds for them, but know that we will definitely be involved with them moving forward and building something great. For those of you who have learned something here today, or there's been a component of what we've chatted about that could help benefit somebody. Maybe you know a business owner who's looking to exit but doesn't know how to start that process. Make sure you share this with them. We're here to empower business owners with the financial confidence and the resources they need to be successful in their life and in their business. So share this out. Make sure you give us a follow. We have an episode that comes out every single week. So we'd be excited to have you here again next week. And if you have any questions or comments, drop them in here. We'll make sure that we get back to you with any of the information, resources. We're just excited to be along for this journey with you. Once again, guys, thank you for joining the Wealthy Entrepreneur Podcast today. I'm your host, Bob Gauvreau. It's been a pleasure and look forward to seeing you next time.